Welcome to the Ramswriter podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ramswriter podcast. I'm your host, Simon. Hope everyone is doing well. So then, just a quick podcast, quick YouTube video. First of all, thank you for those who watched my last YouTube video with Kieran Maguire and those who downloaded it as a podcast. Unbelievable feedback from all of you guys. Absolutely excellent. It blew me away a bit, to be honest. And obviously, for those who watched on YouTube, you know it's over 1,000 people. So wow, yeah, amazing. So thank you for that. So if you are watching on YouTube, remember to like and subscribe. Hit the button down below. Yeah, it means a lot to me. So yeah. Anyway, to business. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm going to start somewhere else. I'm going to start. I've just been on Radio Derby with Ed Dawes, which had a bit of a discussion about what I'm going to discuss now as well, about players, etc. But first of all, he had an interview with Tom Huddlestone. And those who are regular listeners to me will know that I have basically sort of said that when asked about Rooney and things like this, about when he was a player for us, you'll know that I've sort of said that I think that he has no choice to play. He's got to play. Maybe as part of his contract. And it's interesting that Tom Huddlestone was talking about his contract with Ed Dawes on Radio Derby. You can listen to that on BBC Sounds app. Very good interview. I suggest you listen. He was talking about it, and he was saying that there was figures discussed, etc. There was promises that were discussed and that were broken ultimately. And basically, he said he had a conversation with Philip Cocu, and Cocu said to him that he's got to play Rooney, and his remit is to develop and progress Max Bird into the first team. So essentially, he had no choice. That he couldn't play Tom as much as maybe he would have liked to. Let's not forget there was discussions because Cocu wanted to keep Tom, and Tom obviously wanted to stay, but he felt that he doesn't just want to sit here and not play. And sadly for him, though, he's not had a club since, which is bizarre. It really is. I would have thought someone would have picked him up by now. So it's very interesting. I just thought everything that I'd suggested on this podcast, everything you guys have suggested to me as well, when you bring your questions in, all came a bit to fruition about Rooney and the fact that he had to play. And, ultimately, this season, the season that obviously he's taken over as manager, it shed a bit of light. Maybe this is why Cocu left in the end. I know we were playing bad and, the performances weren't great, but there was a period where we were actually doing all right, and that was when Rooney was out with COVID. So yeah, I think just that little snippet of that interview, like I said, go watch it on BBC. Listen to our BBC Sounds app. Search Radio Derby, and you'll see it at Sports Scene at 6. That little snippet, I think, brought a great bit of insight to the whole situation at the club, and it really does seem that it's really messed up. Comment, you guys on YouTube, comment below. Comment. Let me know what you think. And those of you on the podcast, remember you can comment and comment, like, and share on my socials. Remember my socials: Twitter @Ramswriter, Facebook the Ramswriter Podcast, and Instagram the Ramswriter Podcast. As well, if you want to sponsor the channel, you can always sign up to my Patreon website. It's patreon.com/the Ramswriter Podcast, and make a donation to the podcast. So anyway, back to the show then. We've got players in, amazingly, which seems a bit odd. So obviously, as we're all aware, those who listen to Kieran, my podcast with Kieran Maguire last week, currently Derby County are under a transfer embargo. They have to pay bills to HMRC. They've got to pay the bills to clubs that are owed transfer fees. They've got to resubmit their accounts. That's the 16, 17, 18 ones, and also the 19, 20 accounts. They've got a lot of work to do. But before basically we can register any players. So we're under a transfer embargo. So essentially, once we've done all that, paid all the bills, submitted all the accounts, the transfer embargo hopefully then can be lifted, and we can bring some players in. Now, one thing I will say is don't be have high expectations at the moment. It just cannot be done. At the moment, we currently with how financially things are, don't expect a great, massive signings or a lot of signings or, big names or anything like that. you can see from the names that were brought in, they're not the most overwhelming players. They are quite old, aged, experienced, whichever way you want to put it. And I just think at the minute we are on the brink of sort of getting past this EFL and maybe moving forward with our season. And we might see a takeover, perhaps. Maybe that's almost done. Maybe that's waiting in the wings. We just don't know at the minute. Obviously, that's been kept very quiet indeed. So then the players, then the first one I look at is Ryan Alsop, who's a goalkeeper from Wickham of all teams. You know what the history with Wickham is, and obviously they wanted us to, they want to sue us basically because they feel that we should have had a points deduction, should have gone down last season. We've taken a keeper off their hands for free, free contract. So interested to see that one. We've got 3 keepers now in Marshall and Keller, and now Alsop. So again, remember these players at the moment are just training with us. It doesn't mean that we are going to sign them. They are just literally, as they want to put it, trialists. They are just training. Then we've got 2 guys that popped up today. Sonny Aluko, who you guys might remember from Fulham or Reading, that's where he's been, and Sam Baldock, who again was at Reading last season. Before that, he's been at Brighton. A couple of attacking options there. Again, that then goes with the likes of Rich Stearman and Phil Jagielka, a couple of other players that are training with us. So there's bodies coming into the building, and also Curtis Davis and Andre Wisdom are both training with us. So obviously Andre and Curtis are both out of contract with us at the minute, but there is a but. I believe I've been told by a couple of people that contracts, they are in talks. Don't know how far these talks are, but again, obviously, I guess we have to wait and see what happens with that one. But I think we need to keep them. Just again, numbers, experience. For me, Wisdom didn't do too bad last season. Had a couple of shaky moments, shaky games, but overall, I think he had an all right season. Curtis Davis, obviously spent most of it injured, unfortunately, but he came back on the last day, put a shift in when he was still not medically cleared, and helped us survive. So I know he's 34, I think he is. But one thing I will say about those signings, sucky team signings, they're not signings, but these players that they're in there, these are players that Rooney's obviously looked at, seen something, and he said last season he wants to we all moaned at him, I suppose, for chopping and changing tactics and chopping and changing this and that and the other, not having a set formation. It seems to me now he's buying players into a style of football he wants to play. I look at the likes of Jagielka, I look at the likes of Steven, both old school defenders who, they're not going to play tippy-tappy football around the back. They're not going to do that. They're going to head balls clear. They're going to put slide tackles in. Old school defenders, something that I think we've missed. Our weaknesses is crosses, defending crosses. We're very poor at that. I think with players like that in there, we ultimately get better at defending crosses, defending corners. Then with the likes of Aluko, again, I think he's 32, masses of experience in the Championship. He was a very good player for Fulham. He's very quick. Again, it says to me, we have no pace in our team. We have Jozwiak, and that's it. We looked dangerous last season when we tried to get balls down the wing, whip them in the box, and get players to get the likes of Colin Kazim-Richards on the ball, heading them in. And that's something that Aluko will bring you. Again, Baldock, he's a fox in the box sort of striker. He's not going to smash in a goal from 35, 40 yards. He's going to look to get in the box. A bit like, I guess, he reminds a little bit of Sam Winnell. In the right place, right time sort of striker. Lee Gregory. So again, they're not the most overwhelming names. They are quite aged. Some would say pensioners maybe as a footballer, but at the end of the day, that's where we're at this moment in time. Things could change. Like I said, if we get this takeover sorted, there will be a little bit more money. Perhaps we could get some more younger players. We've also, obviously, another player we are as well as on trial is Ravel Morrison. Some of you would have heard him, some of you wouldn't. His ex-Manchester United Academy graduate. High things were thought of him. He was supposed to be this, he was really well thought of by Sir Alex Ferguson. He's a bit of a journeyman, not really had many games in the last 11 years. I think he's had 11 clubs or something like that in the last 10, 11 years, something like that. It's crazy. Not had many sort of appearances for each club. Lazio, Den Haag, I think was his last club. Sheffield United, QPR, and I think it was recently. The most recent club was at Middlesbrough. He went to Middlesbrough in January and didn't get an appearance. Now, there is a lot to be questioned about with, again, attitude, I suppose. He's got a bit of a past that comes with him. You can Google that as well. I don't know if the criminal convictions I've not really read, but some personal issues that don't shine him in the best light. But there is a player in there somewhere, and I think he knows Wayne. He was teammates with Wayne Rooney at Manchester United. And Wayne, I think, trusts him. Wayne's mentioned him before last season. He mentioned Ravel Morrison before. And he knows he's a good player. I think, he just needs that right coach, perhaps. But one thing I've noticed as well, looking in the videos, is he's sort of attached himself to CKR. And I'm thinking, yeah, all right, you're 28 years old. And you've attached yourself to someone that's been there, done it, got the T-shirt, been a bit of a journeyman, been here, there, and everywhere, played in multiple countries, had to, graft things. He's not, Colin Kazim-Richard was one of them players that when we signed last season, we were like, oh, no way. What are we getting him for? And we wrote him off. Not all of us, but a lot of us wrote him off. And he became well loved last season because he put a shift in, he put graft in, he did everything he could. He left it all out there, all on the pitch for the team. So hopefully, fingers crossed, these players can do the same, because at the end of the day, I think that's what's needed. We need bodies in the box, bodies in the building. It would appear that Rooney's coming away from this sort of academy feeder, let's bring the academy lads through. And no doubt there will be academy lads that, if they are good enough, they will be picked. I'm looking at the likes of Bobby Duncan. He seems to have, really got on it this preseason. Watching his socials and stuff, he's really been on it. A lot of videos and things on there. So hopefully he's up for it. He's a player that, again, could be used. As I said, you got the likes of Jack Stratton as well, another player that, he came into the first team, then was loaned out, was doing well, got injured. So hopefully he's back and he's got something to prove. So it is going to be, it's a weird start at the minute. As I said, there is takeover talks going on in the background. We don't know how far they are. It could be tomorrow that it's announced, or it could be, August the 6th, something daft like that. We just don't know at the minute. But we know there's talks. There is talks going on. And I think that's exactly what this club needs now. This club needs some stability, and I guess Mel Morris I've said what I've said before for those of you who've listened about Mel Morris and my feelings toward Mel Morris. He's put whatever into, he's put his money into this club. He's failed at this club, basically, to get so close each year and not cross the line, it just can't keep happening. But I think it's definitely time, with everything, the financial issues with the EFL, the £100,000 fine, and all the fiddling and messing about with the accounts. I just think, we need all this done with and over now. 18 months we've had of EFL battles. 18 months. We don't need any more of it. We really don't. Mel, essentially we've got to say, well, thanks for trying, but, see you later. Let someone else, let these, if this is the dream that John Percy from the Telegraph described it as on Steve Bloom's pod, if it is the dream, let's hope it is. let's hope this consortium of Americans, want what's best for the club, which I'm sure they do, because Americans don't just come in. I don't think they just come in and mess about the club. I mean, look, this club is on its arse. To be honest, it's on its arse. That's where it is. This club is gone. It is financially in a mess. We know that. So I think, if a takeover does happen, we will be looking at, again, maybe some freebies, some loans in the summer, sort of gel a bit of a team together. Then come January, I think we will spend a little bit and get some players on permanent deals that are going to be, 2-3 year deals, something like that. You look at like the guys in 23, 24-year-olds, that sort of thing. I know we're looking at Mengi, Ted and Mengi, we're looking at bringing him back. However, due to, I think, because obviously of this embargo that we're under at the minute, we can't have it. We can only sort of loan him for half a season. And Man United don't want that. Derby don't want that. It's too much faffing about. So I believe, I believe from what I've read, that will do his pre-season at Manchester United. Derby have already agreed terms, etc. He would do his preseason, get his fitness up, and then once the embargo is lifted, he will come in. Which says to me that there is work going off in the background. Which says to me we might not be too far away from this whole debacle, this whole Mel Morris era, if you like, being over. So yeah, I just thought. We are getting bodies in, and we, of course, Friday is a big day, big day Friday, because the mega story opens, and also we have the home kit reveal. No one, I don't know what it is, but normally you see sort of kits out, or they normally come out, quite early in pre-season. It took us a week. I think we had a week of training in our old kit. But now we've got this deal with Fanatics. So if you don't know, Fanatics are a huge company, sporting merchandising company in America. I think they work with the likes of Man U, Everton, I believe Burnley and Villa as well. And that I think we're the first club, from what I've read, we're the first club that outside the Premier League that they have that have struck a deal with them. Now I know from what I've read, Everton had a £30 million deal with them over 10 years. So they get $3 million a year off Fanatics. Fanatics sell their stuff. Fanatics, you're probably looking at more sort of Americanized things, maybe basketball jerseys, NFL style jerseys, all with Derby County on them. Which, what, I'm all for that, because I think over the last couple of seasons, the stuff in the megastore has been a bit poor. If I'm honest, I'm not really like much of it, apart from the retro shirts. That's about it. So we've got a big day on Friday then with the shirt being released, and no one's seen it. I've seen a couple of mock-ups, what people think it could be, but I've not seen a great deal of them. So yeah, they've managed to keep this very secret, which again, I don't mind, because think about it, when it comes out, you get that initial reaction. People have said to me as well, people have asked me about the takeover, because maybe I have had some information, maybe I haven't. But people have asked me about it. Is something going on? Yes, there is something going on. I can say that. Yeah, there is. Do I know what? Not exactly, no. But I know there's talks going on. I know there is. I can guarantee you that. I can't tell you when it's due, when it's due to be done. But this takeover for the club, I said to Kieran Maguire on my last show, I says, would this takeover solve everything? He said, no, not necessarily. For me, I think it will. I think we move into a different direction. I don't think we lose the identity of who we are, but I think that we offer more. So if we come a bit Americanized, so what? At the end of the day, Americans like to do things big, though. Let's be honest. So having this deal with Fanatics is brilliant. Honestly, I guarantee if you went on the Everton store or wherever, you'd see some stuff in there and you go, you know what, I like that. Really like that. I'll spend my money on that. Because I'm looking at the Derby store in a moment and going, 50 quid for that? I'm not buying that. Again, what this does though is boost revenue. We've got to sort of bring in some revenue. I see the Philip Cocu poster has now been taken down. Right at the front, the Toyota sign has been taken. The Toyota West Stand sign has been taken down. Are we looking at potentially, I don't know, getting another sponsor for the stadium? We know Mel did it with iPro a few years ago. Potentially, are we looking at doing that again? Revenue into the club. That's what this club needs. It's already on its arse anyway because of overspending over the last few years. But now you've had COVID to deal with as well. So we've had no revenue really coming into the club that we normally would get. This club needs to build, along with all other clubs as well. We're not on our own on this, but we've got to seek out ways to get money into this club. So hopefully, like I said, John Percy mentioned the dream. Hopefully, this is a dream. Hopefully, we can get this takeover done whenever it may be, with whomever it may be, and that's it. We take it from there, and we push on. We start the season. Obviously, we've got Man United on Sunday, which let's be honest, it's Man United. I hope everyone, hope those who can get tickets can go. And it's been a bit of a nightmare trying to get tickets, to be honest. Loading for ages. We're not going to expect to see like the big superstars like your Fernandez. Obviously he's at the Euros. Maguire, Shaw. We're not going to see those sort of players. Pogba. But there'll still be a decent team. It'll still be a run out. It'll still be football again. A lot of you wouldn't have seen any football. You wouldn't. Apart from on the TV. So it'd be good to be back. We'll get behind the lads and whoever steps out on that pitch, and season's getting closer. What are we now? 3, 4, 5 weeks away from the start of the season. So there's a lot of work for Derby to do, but I'm confident that things will be done and things will be sorted. So yeah. Anyway, it was just a quick show, quick video, quick podcast to keep things ticking over. Get a bit of positivity going. I feel. I know we've got, and I know we've not signed anybody, but I know we've got bodies in the building that we're getting. I know they're not the most overwhelming signings. They're not like, oh wow, what a player he looks like. But I think this season for me will be about stability, be about getting some experienced bodies in the building. And I'm not expecting promotion or playoffs even. I'm expecting to finish mid to bottom, bottom half of the table. I genuinely am. And then we go again next year. We rebuild. We get some better players in. Hopefully we're in a better position, and we challenge and we go for it from there. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. Remember, like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. For those of you on the podcast, like, share, subscribe, all that means a lot to me. Anyway, guys, thank you for listening, and I shall see you next time. Come on, Derby.